Hey. All right. Um, Guys, it's Thursday before 2. Let's get this fourth quiz done and in the bag. Um, yeah. So I might be sniffling quite a bit through this video. I am so sorry. I know it sounds gross. It is pollen season, and here in the north, spring is not something that kind of creeps up on you. It's like an explosion. Like we had snow last week, and now it's like summer temperatures. And I mean, just like 2 days ago, everything was bare, and now all the tulips are blooming, all the grass is green, the cherry blossom trees are completely pink. It's insane. It's like a pollen bomb, and my nose does not deal with it very well, despite medications. So yeah, I'm so sorry about any sniffling or blowing of the nose that might happen in this video. Okay, so we are You in a Cult quiz, part 4 of 4. And if you haven't done the first 3 parts, please do them. And remember, if you answer yes to one or more of any of the questions in each of the different parts, then you might be in a cult. All right, so we're going to do a little bit different this time. I usually start with introducing or explaining the theme of the questions, and I will do that, but I'm going to do it really short this time, and then we're going to get straight into the questions for anybody who's like, I don't want to sit through all this, I just want to do the quiz and get out of here. And then after that, I'm going to go back and dig a little bit more into the theme. The theme today is systems of influence. So we've already done the belief system, we've done the charismatic authority, and we've done the systems of control, and today it's system of influence. I haven't read the whole chapter. I have just skimmed it, and I can tell you guys this is going to be a really exciting chapter for me to read when I read through it all the way. I've highlighted, or already just skimming through it, I've highlighted several parts that I think are going to be very interesting. So those are some of the parts that we're going to go back to after the quiz questions. Yeah, okay. So let me just start with a very short introduction to what are systems of influence. Oh, and the book is, as always, Escaping Utopia, Janja Lalich and Carla McLaren, because it's always good form to show you reference. Okay, so what are systems of influence? Successful groups help their members learn how to create a cohesive group identity that supports individuals, who in turn strengthen the group. Through social and emotional encouragement and guidance, groups can teach us how to belong, how to share core principles, and how to get into sync with other group members. Okay, so that's just like, the values of a group and how they help us become a cohesive group, but also thrive on our own, because the individuals thriving will lead to the group thriving. All right. In contrast, abusive and high demand groups strip away individuality, are rigid and perfectionist, and place the needs of the group leader and or the belief system above all other things. These unhealthy groups use constant peer pressure to enforce intense and self-sacrificing commitment until unquestioning obedience to the group's beliefs, rules, and expectations becomes a daily or even hourly task. On one hand, people sealed into these systems of influence are striving towards perfection in a group and absolutely dedicated people who are, let me start again. On one hand, people sealed into these systems of influence are striving toward perfection in a group of absolutely dedicated people who are their friends, family, and community, such that leaving would feel like losing everyone and everything they care about. On the other hand, the group's constant manipulation and perfectionistic expectations keep members so hyper-focused on performance and so unsure of themselves, they don't have the time, space, or energy they need to even think about leaving. The group is everything and everyone they know. Their groups is the only answer. Therefore, their only real choice is to obey fully, eliminate all of their doubts, their individual needs, and commit themselves completely or risk losing everything. All right, so we're going to get into the questions now. And remember, just put a mark down if the answer is yes to any of these questions. There is constant pressure for people to change and conform. The push for change comes from above. The needs or ideas of group members are not important. There are frequent group dedication and commitment ceremonies and activities. Oneness is a central goal. The system of influence is built into the powerful sense of community. This deep closeness is both supportive to members and also a way for the group to pry into and control members' private lives. Loyalty to family or friends is discouraged. All loyalty must be focused on the group and the leader. Gossip, informal communication, and off-topic conversations may be forbidden. Members have no privacy. Their actions, behaviors, emotions, and even thoughts are monitored. Members soon internalize the pressure to conform and will obediently monitor and report their own behavior. Members must report on themselves and also each other. As a result, a culture of confession will arise. Confessions are public, and punishment and humiliation are public as well. The leader's behavior is off limits. No one can report on the transgressions of the leader, for he or she is exalted and can do no wrong. Special people around the leader or the leadership group are also protected from any criticism. Often there are no consequences for their behavior or actions. Members may be given or asked to choose new names or nicknames and will be encouraged to let go of previous interests, relationships, loyalties, and goals. The group may develop its own special language that outsiders cannot understand. Any success or hard work performed by individuals will be attributed to the group or leader, while any difficulty or failure will be blamed on the individual. People in the outside world are treated as non-people, unenlightened, deluded, or evil, and they have value only if they can be converted. The group or the leader may reinterpret events to verify the group's beliefs, fears, or visions of the future. Everything will be fitted into their all-inclusive and transcendent belief system. Okay, so have you checked one or more on those questions in this is part 4, and if you've checked one or more in the parts 1, 2, and 3 as well, then take a close look at your group and think about it honestly. How much personal freedom do you have, or are you really entangled in whatever it is your group is? Yeah. All right, we're gonna go through the signs of a healthy system of influence. And then after that, I'm going to go back and read a little bit more about systems of influence, the stuff that I found fascinating. Okay, signs of healthy systems of influence. The system helps people feel welcome and important to the group as they are, without having to change. The system encourages healthy community, teamwork, and camaraderie, as well as open discussion and debate about group projects, goals, and decisions. Members are role models for each other, but internal competition is a choice rather than a requirement. Individual hard work and excellence are celebrated and are attributed to the individual. The group encourages self-awareness and personal responsibility, but does not require public self-exposure. The system supports privacy, self-respect, independence, and kindness. Communication is direct and open, and secret keeping is discouraged. Members are not required to spy on or report others. Members have the right to challenge the way the group unity is achieved. Striving for excellence may be a group value, but the demands are not harsh, and people are not penalized for failure. Dedication may be a group value, but the group makes room for casual members. The system incorporates fairness, concern for individuals, and acceptance of outsiders. The group provides a healthy sense of belonging and realistic levels of commitment. The group does not require people to transform themselves or dedicate their lives to the cause. No billion-year contracts in a healthy group. Leaders and special insiders are not above the rules, and they can be challenged if they disrupt or ignore group norms. The system helps members to develop a unified group identity that does not erase their own identities. So those are healthy systems of control. What to look for. All right, cool. So we're going to get back a little bit more into systems of control. What are they? In this chapter, the author's reference to a social psychologist, Robert Cialdini, or Cialdini. I'm going to say Cialdini, but I'm not entirely sure of the pronunciation. And he's written a book called Influence: How and Why People Agree to Things. And he talks about how everybody is persuaded or influenced countless times every day, like by commercials, advertising, by people they look up to, etc., etc. And he has broken down a few ways that influence occurs. And I thought they were pretty interesting, so we're going to look at them real quick. The first one, and I am definitely going to pronounce this incorrectly because I've already practiced like 10 times. Here we go. Reciprocity. Is that right? Reciprocity. I think that's right. Okay. Reciprocity engages your desire to give back by offering something valuable. For example, they offered me salvation, so I feel obliged to follow them with absolute dedication. Or maybe like, ooh, they offered me a free personality test and they evaluated it for me and gave me a private consultation on it for free. So the least I could do is buy their book. Mm-hmm. Social proof. Social proof tells you that something is safe and acceptable. For example, everybody else is going along and nobody is complaining, so it must be okay. This is, for example, one of the reasons why Scientology focuses a lot on celebrities, because a lot of people look up to celebrities. And if they're all like, oh, this is awesome, then people are going to try that. I mean, it's the same with today there are influencers on social media. And if there had been that back when Hubbard, was alive, he would be saying, get the influencers. All right. Authority. Authority engages automatic response. Early in life, I was taught to respect authority figures, parents, teachers, crossing guards, policemen, doctors. So why would I question the superior being with great wisdom who is telling me what to do? I think the Sea Org uniform plays in a lot in this. Especially I think in American culture, it kind of like a uniform in general kind of can like engage in automatic response or an automatic respect, and especially one that looks like military or naval uniforms that heroes wear. So, consistency. People want to be seen as consistent. They don't want to appear mistaken or foolish. For me, I was like, oh, this is the sunk cost fallacy. And if you've never heard of the sunk cost fallacy, I highly recommend you look that up. It's basically like, oh, I've already invested something, money or time or whatever it is you've invested. I would look like a fool if whatever it is I invested in is wrong. So the term originates from business, where like somebody makes a business investment, it goes south and they go, well, I've already invested so much, I might as well just pour a little bit more money into that, and then it's going to turn around and it's going to go great. And it usually doesn't, or not always, or maybe sometimes, I don't know. I'm not much for business, but you can have a sunk cost fallacy in a relationship. Oh, we've already been together for so long, let's try to work it out, even though he's abusing me, whatever. Well, let's stay together for the kids. Not always healthy. Sometimes healthy, sometimes the correct thing. I don't know what happened. My phone just stopped recording right in the middle. Hopefully, I will be able to figure out how to put the two videos together and upload them as one. And if not, this is part 2 of the quiz Are You in a Cult series, part 4 of 4. Okay. But yeah, hopefully I'll be able to figure that out. I was talking about the sunk cost fallacy. Sunk cost fallacy can be in a relationship. It can be in business. It can be in knitting a sweater. It could be really anything. It's something a lot of hoarders actually have issues with. They've already spent the money and purchased the item, so they can't let it go. This is all sunk cost fallacy, and I find it to be a kind of a fascinating thing, and it's really hard to accept. I find it at least very hard to accept that sunk cost fallacy, and to just like logically, I can sometimes realize, oh, I'm only doing this because I've already invested time, but it's really hard to emotionally let go of whatever that is. All right, so that's consistency. And we're getting back to the 6 different ways influence works on people. And this is from the social psychologist Robert Cialdini. Okay. Number 5, liking. Liking engages powerful social longings. So love bombing comes in here. Somebody's showing you a lot of appreciation, maybe giving you a lot of nice comments, maybe they look good, and you kind of like them. So why not? Why not go back? Why not listen to what they got to say? All right. And scarcity. Scarcity breeds desire. This group is telling me their way is the only way. How can I pass up this incredible opportunity? Scarcity is a thing. I mean, diamonds cost so much because they're scarce. Not actually, I've been told. There's apparently a whole massive bunch of them sitting in Holland somewhere. But yeah, like scarcity and exclusivity creates like an automatic longing for whatever it is. So these are all ways that influence works in social interactions, and these are usually employed in some way or another by a cult. All right, and I got a few more tabs in the book. Here we go. Each group's system of influence creates a restricted social network and a confining culture that are regularly reinforced by each member's conformity and obedience. The obedience is often imposed not through obvious punishments, but through an atmosphere of impossible expectations and constant criticism. I think this is true, especially like in the beginning when you're just getting into a group or something. It's not always obvious that you're being abused. Take, for example, the training routines, TRs, in Scientology. At first, you think this is just, a great way for me to practice communication. And practicing communication is great if you need help with that. I don't think you realize some of those drills are actually teaching you to accept abuse, for example. Okay. The next thing I want to read is, for cultic groups, outside sources of information are unnecessary. They're either denigrated or outright forbidden. Everything is focused on the cult's ideas. There's only one point of view. A cult member is not expected to consider other ideas, but only to obey the leader. And this often includes getting an education. If the cult member is a child or a young adult who would normally be in school, that's not always encouraged. In fact, it might be outright forbidden. In the Cadet Org, we didn't get to go to a public school. We had school. But yeah, we didn't get to go to a public school because we were told that would mean we would automatically be, forced to take drugs, either by the psychiatrists or maybe by other kids that don't know any better. Or, our lives are going to go to hell in a handbasket if we're like in a public school. I was taught, and I believed it, that public schools were dangerous, even though I actually did kindergarten and first grade in a public school in Clearwater. And I also did first grade in a public school in Sweden, because in Sweden you start like a year later, and I spent quite a bit of time in Sweden when I was 7. And the school year started and they weren't sure what to do with me. And in Sweden, it's a law that children have to go to school. There's no homeschooling in Sweden. So my grandparents enrolled me in school and I started going to school. I didn't even finish one full semester before I was back in the United States. And by then, the cadets were no longer going to public schools. Yeah, also Hubbard says you don't need to go to school, you just need to do auditor training. There's a sub-chapter in this chapter called How Followers Learn to Entrap Themselves. And I'm really excited to read this full section, but I just skimmed it quickly and I'm going to read some bits. When powerful systems of influence are active, people may lose their sense of self, their critical thinking, and their autonomy. And when they do, they can be converted into obedient followers. One of the strange side effects of this process is that converts may begin to believe that they have free will and that they have intentionally chosen to de-self and obey. They become true believers and lose any real awareness of the influence methods that reshaped and re-socialized them. I think you see this a lot in many, many groups, but for me, especially in Scientology, it's so clear that they're like, no, I'm doing Scientology to achieve freedom. And then they do some auditing action, they're like, oh my God, I'm so free. But they're just getting more and more entrapped. Yeah. So she mentions a other sociologist, which I'm gonna probably... I don't actually believe in the universe telling me things, but if I did, I would believe the universe is telling me I need a better setup to record videos because my phone just stopped recording. Once again, it's not low on battery. It still has memory left. I don't know what's going on. I'm going to try to wrap this up real quick. Because I just can't with this. That's just really annoying. And I promise I will try to figure out a better setup that works. All right. So there's a sociologist named Benjamin Zablocki, and he has done work on self-delusion, and he has coined 2 terms, hypercredulity and hypercompliance, and this is in regards to cultic groups. And he says that cult members learn to erase their critical judgment and wholly accept the beliefs, ideas, and doctrines of the groups. When this happens, members enter into a state of hypercredulity. Simultaneously, they become strongly attached to and emotionally dependent on the leader and other group members and cannot bear to be separated from them. This brings about a combined external and internal state in which leaving the group feels unbearable, and the cult member enters into a state of hypercompliance. Yeah. She also gets into cognitive dissonance in this chapter, which I also find quite fascinating. But I don't trust my phone anymore, so I am kind of just going to wrap it up here. I'm so sorry for these technical difficulties. I really hope I'll probably ask my kid to help me piece together these separate clips. Yeah, there were some things I wanted to touch on, but maybe we'll do it in another video. I plan on trying to figure out how to live stream, and when I do, then maybe we'll have some conversations. I'll probably also continue to do just like filmed content that I don't edit any of this, guys. I film it and I upload it, because editing would just I would just keep refilming 100,000 times because it wouldn't be perfect. So, but live streaming might be easier, and also it would be fun to be able to chat. So I'm hoping I can figure that out, and I hope I can piece this video together. Thank you so much for listening. I hope you have a lovely day. Mental health is important. Don't be culty. Thanks. Bye.